My name is Peter Winstanley. In 1994 I retired from the Army Reserve as a Lieutenant Colonel. Following that date I developed a deep interest in the events surrounding the Australian prisoners of war of the Japanese. It is my privilege today to record, in some brief detail I suppose, the events surrounding the life of, as a prisoner of war, of Pat Darling, who enlisted under the name of, her maiden name of Gunther, and she is one of the nurses who survived the sinking of the Vyner Brook in the Bangka Straits on around the 14th or 15th of February 1942. We'll now hear of these events in Pat's own words. Pat, thank you very, very much for agreeing to talk with me today. I really appreciate it. Maybe could you start by telling us your date of birth and where you were born?
Yes, my date of birth was 31st of August 1913, and I was born at Casino on the north coast, and I grew up there and went to school there, and we went to the small public school, and then later on went to the high school in the township. Then I decided that I wanted to go nursing. My older sister had gone nursing, and she had trained at the Sydney hospital. But an aunt of mine said, no, the best hospital in Sydney is PA, so that's where you go. This aunt actually had been a resident medical doctor there in her younger days. So I went to PA, and I was there for the full 4 years. And also I used to special back there at the private hospital that they built, which is Gloucester House. It was adjacent to the main building there. And I went out to Gloucester House quite frequently as a trainee, as a nurse. Then the war broke out, and I joined up, and I went to Malaya with the main contingent. I've forgotten the actual year, but I think it would have been about 39. And what else can I say about that?
Do you remember what ship you went up on?
No, I can't. It's possibly is in that book, but yes. I don't know.
No, that's fine.
If you'd given me a bit of warning, I'd have read it through.
That's fine.
But I can't remember. It was an old ship anyway, and it travelled beautifully. It was one of the P&O, had been one of the P&O liners, and it travelled beautifully.
Yes.
It was very... I just cannot remember the name of it. And
so where did the 10th... You were with the 10th Australian General Hospital.
Oh, yes, yes.
Now where did it set itself up initially? Where was it located?
The 10th AGH set up in Malaya at a place called, I'd have to read it in the book, oh, Malaya, that's right, which was one of the oldest establishments by the British in Malaya, and it was a very fascinating little town, and we were, you know, particularly the native people were very, very interested in us because we were in uniform and they hadn't seen much of that. And they had a good English population there, and they were very nice in that they were quite happy to entertain us or ask us out to their places. But the difficulty was to try and return their hospitality.
Yes.
And I think that always happens with that.
Now, while you were there, were you aware of the build-up of potential war with Japan?
In a sense we were, but you see, the British assured us that Malaya, Hong Kong were impregnable, is that the right word? That they were, you know, so wonderfully well established with their armies and things. But I know that quite a few of the younger officers in the 8th Division, Malaya, they weren't very happy with things at all. They said, you know, we are told that they have all these, I don't quite know how you'd put it, but establishments where there is protection and...
like the big guns that were...
Yes.
Like the big guns.
Yes, yes.
And the barracks.
And they said that... no, it's hard to go back on that.
Now, the 8th of December 1941 changed things, didn't it?
Yes.
What happened then?
Well, it was just announced that Australia was at war with Japan.
Yes.
And that Japan had attacked without any pre-warning whatsoever. They had just flooded in and attacked. And when we talked to the... Well, as you will know, it only took about 6 weeks for Malaya to
fall, was it?
To fall to the Japanese. And they sent the first lot of sisters out. I've forgotten the dates in there anyway. And I was with the second lot to go out. And our ship...
Okay, just before you get to that, if I may,
yes.
Just before you get to that, once the Japanese started invading Malaya, did the 10th AGH start taking patients, wounded?
Yes.
Yes.
We at Malacca didn't get many patients because the train line didn't go through Malacca. We were a coastal town, and it went straight through. First of all, it stopped at Johor, and I had gone down, or most of us had gone down to either Johor or Singapore.
Yes.
So I was first of all at Johor when we started receiving injured.
Now, some of your nurses at one stage were attached to the 2nd, 4th Casualty Clearing Station. Were you one of those?
No, no, I was always with the 2nd, 10th AGH.
Yes.
And we went to the 2nd, 13th.
Yes.
At in Malaya.
Yes.
In Singapore.
You combined. Did you combine? Did the 2 AGHs combine?
Yes. It's hard to say. You see, you're just in charge of a ward, and and it's something that you're used to doing, so it's not awfully difficult.
Yes.
For you, but it was tragic to see these young people coming in quite badly injured, you know.
Yes. And do you remember the impact of the bombing of
oh yes, but the funny part about it, it's the sort of thing you ignored. We all ignored it.
Yes.
We just went on working until the CO, I think it was a commanding officer, he said that if we didn't go down into the dungeons or whatever they had, they were horrible, the dugouts they had. And in a country where the rainfall is very heavy, you'd go into a sort of a cave, which was quite horrid. And I always said, well, I feel better off on the wards anyway.
Yes,
and also, I think for the patients' sake, it was better if the sisters stayed with them.
Yes. So who was the commanding officer of your unit?
Oh, he was a Colonel White, and he was from Melbourne.
Yes, that's E.R. White, not Glenn White.
Yes. He was a nice gentlemanly man.
Yes.
And but it